In your dream, you hear the wind whisper names you do not know. You see a pool, calm and still, reflecting like obsidian stone. And in that reflection is a place you have never been. The sky is dark. Sun who moves swiftly is hidden from your sight by clouds thicker than smoke. A huge stone, taller than a grown man, is split down the center, and a great tree grows between the two halves. The smell of rot and death permeate the air, and sickened animals lay dead or dying. Their anguished cries pierce your heart. A crow, a cougar, and an owl approach the pool of water. The surface ripples, and then begins to glow. Not with the warmth of a fire, or the coolness of the night sky, or the beauty of the sun, but with a red as deep as the blood which flows in your veins. The wind blows stronger, and you hear steady chanting, rising and rising until it is deafening. One of the three animals next to the pool turns to you, and you see yourself reflected in the depths of that gaze. This dream you have had many, many times. It was the first dream granted to you by the spirits, when you were old enough to set aside the dream catcher which protects the young. Now it is the only dream you have, and the elders of your village agreed that you must journey and discover the path that awaits you. For many nights you have walked, crossing rivers and plains, mountains, until you came to the land of buttes and cliffs and canyons. Now you have been following a small stream, and your ears tell you that other tributaries are coming together. Moving easily over loose rocks, worn smooth from the rainy season floods, you come to the place where the waters meet. And you are not alone. Black Owl, what do the others see?
You would see a man, wiry of frame, sunken of features, but he would stand with the same grace and presence that the others would stand with. Despite that, they would be able to see charms, things that hang from his neck, from his arms, from his wrists, denoting his apprenticeship, at least, if not status, as a medicine man, a healer, one who sees beyond and speaks with things beyond, knows them better than the others might know them.
And what of you, spear that sings?
Prowling, distant. They don't see Spear that sings, but he can smell them. He's in the brush, moving slowly. His shoulder blades moving in this sort of like strange way that only like cats can do, as he prowls ahead, and his vision sees in the distance a rabbit. There's no way a person could see it, but here, as a cougar, he can see it. And he like sniffs the air and like gets down low, and begins to move towards it.
And you, Rushing Crow?
As he comes within sight, he's a muscular man. He stands tall, his shoulders squared in reassured confidence. His skin practically aglow from the time spent in scorching desert sun. And as he sees, Black Owl, this enthusiastic and amiable smile will spread across his face, reaching his eyes, whilst in his hand he plays with a crow's feather, forming the vein and causing the black to shine with green and blue and purple iridescence.
You see Black Owl, and you see something else, but a moment too late to say anything. There is a yowl. It is loud. And a she cougar, leaps from her hiding place among the rocks. Black Owl, I need you to make a strength saving throw, please. And everyone, please roll initiative. Black Owl, the cougar catches you off guard. You did not see her or smell her. Spear that sings, you'd caught the whiff of her scent on the air, but even you are not fast enough to stop it. Jeff, you're going to take 5 damage from the bite and 8 damage from a claw as the cougar rakes you and knocks you to the ground. And as she has you pinned, she attacks again. Will a 15 hit?
Yep, that's my AC exactly.
5 damage. Another bite. And Spear that sings, it is your turn.
He was like looking and about to pounce at the rabbit, and it flees the second it hears the yell. And he like shakes his gigantic cat head and like turns and begins to run in that direction. And I'm going to attack this she cougar. If I move 20 feet towards it, so she needs to make a strength saving throw. It's a 15 on the die, so 20 all up.
Yeah, you beat her.
Ooh, 11 damage.
Spear that sings, as you strike into the she cougar, you notice that her eyes are wild and they seem to glow with a red tint, and her fangs are wreathed in shadow. Rushing Crow.
Rushing Crow will leap across some of the rocks at these tributaries and rush in if he can. And he'll simply swing out at the beast. I'd imagine he sees the same red in its eyes, and imagine it's maddened. He's going to miss in the first attack, but the second will be a 24.
Yeah, that'll hit.
For 7 damage.
Describe how you end the she cougar.
It's a blow between the shoulder blades. The beast does not see coming. Grappled and growling as it is. He twists and turns the tomahawk until he sees that the massive paws on the thing drop down away from this new arrival.
Spirit of Things will like wrap his jaws around the neck, the back of the neck, and like hold him there, like a giant cat with prey. Just like hold and squeeze until he's sure that she's dead.
The life wanes from the body of the she cougar. She grows still, and her blood begins to soak the ground. Black Owl, I need you to make a wisdom save.
18.
You feel the hot blood of the she cougar beginning to slide over your skin. It starts to seep into the wounds and it burns strangely, although no harm comes of it.
I can feel it at his own wounds. It's as if he doesn't know they're there, though clearly he's aware of them. The slight wince on his face would give that much away when he tries to move. We would just look to what would he see? He is the only other human. Your actions. The other cat here is not of the same ilk as this one. This blood, tainted, burns like fire, like coals on skin. There's something wrong.
Spirit of Things will drop or take his teeth off the neck and like go to sit like a person, attempting to sit like cross-legged, but then will begin to shift pretty quickly from cougar until like his paws shrink and his head shrinks until finally he's a person again. He'll like then kneel over the animal and apologize. I'm sorry, sister. You shouldn't have done that.
Spirit that sings, you share kinship with the cougar. You know it is unusual for one to make such noise, to attack with a yowl. They are silent killers, effective, deadly, graceful. That would be the first giveaway that something was wrong with this creature.
Yeah, he'll say as much to the others and shake his head like not really sure what's happened here. This isn't normal. They also don't attack people, not three or two men walking together who like are carrying weapons. Something is wrong. Some imbalance in the spirit. I don't know what it is. What curse it is? Black Owl?
Perhaps. And try to find out. I don't know thing that I'd be able to deduce about this thing by trying to give it a little bit of an examination, either medical or spiritual.
Yeah, roll Arcana.
Mm-hmm. That's a nat 1.
Something is wrong, but you don't know what the source would be. Spirit that sings and Russian Crow, you could also roll a nat 1.
I rolled a 2 instead.
I rolled a 3.
There we go. Nobody
getting
knows
better.
anything. By the end of the session, you'll be rolling 20s.
So imagine we're all squatting around, like the body of the thing, like looking at it, poking at it, trying to figure out what it is. Certainly, Spirit of Things would like take some powders and stuff from a pouch and like sprinkle them into the blood and see if anything happens. But it's mysterious to him, and he doesn't know. He like scratches at his shaven head and shakes his head.
Black Owl, the adrenaline is wearing off, and you can begin to feel the pain from your wounds.
Spirit that sings will like approach and sniff at them. It's bad business.
Russian Crow will go off and fetch clean water where he can, bring it back in to help clean the wounds.
Roll me nature as you look at the water here, or survival.
A 7.
It smells different. A spear that sings, your keener senses perhaps tell you that it has the stench of death about it, of rot.
Like something's died upstream.
Mm-hmm.
Don't drink it. I imagine that like Russian Crow has like some cooked in his hands, and Spirit of Things will just like smash his hands out of the way so that he doesn't like drink it or smell it too much. Something's dead. You should follow.
Yeah, I think despite your obvious warning, he will bring up the still soaking wet hand to his nose and smell. He probably doesn't really smell much off it, but he'll continue to keep doing it. But yeah, you seem trustworthy enough.
Something is dead upriver. Something has tainted the water.
Give me one moment. I'll need to dress these wounds before I go on further. And then we can try to find out what the source might be. He's gonna like take some like dirt and grass from the ground and from the pouch, from everything that he has. Kind of mix it in with this strange colored dye that he has in these like small closed pots. He'll like take different colors out, kind of smear them in together into these kind of strange, dull, matted kaleidoscope of browns and reds and blues across kind of where these cougar scratches and bite marks are. Using the mud to kind of patch at the wounds and the dye and these kind of intricate patterns over it. So mechanically, I'm casting Cure Wounds on myself to try to get some of the health back that the cougar took. As this kind of spiritual pattern invites the spirits to stop the wound from festering and perhaps even aid in its healing.
You are very wound-wise. You've healed many a bite, a scratch. There's something unusual about the ones marring your own skin. They are beginning to gray or perhaps blacken around the teeth marks and the claw marks. But your medicine seems to be effective all the same.
This should do for now. We should seek the guidance of those with greater knowledge than me when we have the time to spare. These marks are not normal claw marks. They're not healed in the same way. Even through the medicine healings that I've offered, the spirits do not work as well. Concerns me. But if the water is tainted, then that is the utmost priority. We should go on.
She would never attack like that. As we're walking, he'll kind of explain, I am Kuge. You sneak, you approach quietly. To yell before you attack is impossible. It would never happen. Something has corrupted this poor soul. and he'll begin to head off like up the river, up the stream, to try and find the source.
Yeah, Black Owl will follow.
Yep.
Your journeys had brought each of you along a small little river, a stream really, that is now joined with a great river. You move up it, steadily, easily, but always there is an unease. Spear that sings, the stench of death does not disappear. If anything, it begins to grow stronger. And as the river turns, moving closer to the butte in the distance, you hear a noise. It is not drumming, it is not humming. It is buzzing.
Can I smell honey?
You can.
He'll like loudly begin to like and like rub at his belly. There's honey in the air. He'll say to you as if it's like more important than the finding of whatever is causing the death and the corruption.
Careful. We can't be certain whether what hangs on these creatures and in the water might hang in other things. A caution.
Yeah, he'll wrinkle his nose and like shake his head angrily.
Up ahead, you see what was once a large tree, felled many years ago, perhaps by storm or wind. The bottom half of it still stands upright, hollow. And that is the source of the buzzing. Fat bees roam lazily about, going from flower to flower, then returning to the hive.
Totally unafraid, Spirit Sings will like begin to approach, and like he's done this many times. Will like approach in a way that's like non-threatening, and he's done this like many times, trying to extract honey from a beehive without being stung to death. And so he like watches pretty carefully for like where they're busy and where they're not, and then thinks for a moment, and is basically going to try and time it so that when there's a couple of them leaving at the same time, he's going to reach and like try and pull a honeycomb and then run.
Yeah, make me a dexterity check. You can use acrobatics if you have it.
Is there any chance that I could do animal handling?
Yeah.
Politely interact with these bees? Okay.
Animal handling, sure.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's going to be 15 plus my animal handling, which is 5 and 19. So he's talking to the bees as he's approaching as well, and he's trying to like explain to them that like he's not trying to destroy their hive, he's not trying to threaten their young, he's just here for a little bit of honey, and that's all. And so he'll like begin to speak that, and then he'll like pull this like little reed of sugarcane and like place it like near as an offering to the bees before he like grabs the honeycomb.
As you reach your hand in to grab the honeycomb, you notice that the bees begin to buzz more angrily. They're not responding like they normally do. You pull the comb out. It's dripping with honey. It should be golden. Instead, it is black, tinged with purple.
That's troubling. He'll take it and he'll fling it away, so it lands on the the bank, and then he's going to run quite fast and jump into the water. And he'll shout for the others to do the same.
Let's see. Odds is going to be Black Owl, and evens it's going to be Rushing Crow that was slower than Spear That Sings. Rushing Crow. You hear Spear That Sings, but perhaps it takes a moment for his words to register. And these bees begin to swarm out of the hive. You're going to take... Oh, geez. I didn't realize I needed more dice. Oh. I'm very sorry about this, Jex. You're going to take 13 piercing damage.
That's not too bad.
As the bees begin to swarm. And the rest of you can roll initiative as the bee swarm is going to begin trying to come after you in the water. And Rushing Crow, could you also make a con save? Sorry, wisdom save.
Wisdom save. 16.
Yeah, you feel that these bees are stinging you and it hurts more than usual. You notice that some of the spots are beginning to turn black when normally they would be red. Some of that damage is necrotic, by the way. I forgot to tell Jeff that earlier. But you are not under any effect at the moment. So, Rushing Crow, you will be the first to act.
From the water, how far would I be, roughly?
No more than 20 feet.
20 feet. He's going to make a mad dash for the water as he swats and yelps and jumps, no doubt falling over at one point and rolling, hoping to feel the cool embrace. He's just simply going to spend his turn trying to move. I don't know if the swatting will do anything against the swarm.
You can make an attack against the swarm if you're trying to smush them as you swat away.
Yeah, miss.
There are too many, and the stings upon your arms and your face and your back are hampering your ability to effectively hit them. Black Owl.
Yeah, Black Owl is going to dive into the water after our Spear That Sings does, following the whichever direction that he would be swimming in. And then he's going to see. Does it look like the swarm is still like focused onto Rushing Crow? Like, is that, or like what's kind of the general?
They're beginning to spread out further. So you suspect it won't be long before they will be able to attack you as well.
I'm just going to, at least for now, take a good old dodge action, swimming through the water, towards probably the other bank if the river's not so wide or treacherous that would be dangerous. Just so we can try to get a sense of how persistent these things are going to be.
Spirit that sings.
So he's like swimming in the water, and he'll like stick his head up and like look around to see where the bees are, and see if he can see where they are. And they obviously haven't gone after him, but it would be better if they did, as far as he's concerned, because the other two seem hapless. Obviously, they've never stolen honey before, and I don't know what kind of life they're living. So he'll like look to them and see where he is in relation to the bees.
So Russian Crow was not far. He's probably 5 feet closer to the bank than you. Immersing himself in the water, the bees are swarming over that spot and beginning to spread out towards Black Owl and yourself.
Okay. I have spells, and I've never had spells before, so I'm just like trying to figure out what to do with them. He's just going to stand up, and he's going to, it's like a last resort, but he will look in the direction of the bees, and he will like grow in size and become covered in brown fur. He's going to turn into a bear, and then begin just like bellowing and moving towards the swarm and just like slapping his big bear fists around. Can I attack the swarm of bees?
Was it an action or a bonus action to shift?
It's a bonus action. Oh no, it's an action because it's not my spirit animal, right? So it's an action.
I believe so. You could make an offhand attack with a bonus action, though.
I think you only get to do that if you make an attack. Yeah, it's all good. I'll just turn into the bear and like begin roaring and hope that they look to me instead of my friend.
Yeah, make a animal handling check.
17.
Yeah, the deep rumble of the vibrations seems to draw the notice of the bees, who very nearly crit you. I don't know if a swarm can crit. You're going to take 3 piercing and 8 necrotic damage.
Does being a bear in any way help me not get stung to death by bees? It's okay if it doesn't.
Sure. They have disadvantage because of your bear fur to get through it.
Okay, sweet.
So actually, you are lucky. Your fur is so thick that they are unable to sting you. You brush them aside like they're gnats buzzing in your ear.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'll just keep roaring.
Russian Crow, there's a great brown bear near you in the water. And a swarm of bees hovering.
Well, first of all, he's still swatting at the bees, attempting to stop the incessant stinging that's happening. It'll be a 19 to swat at the insects.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, thanks, Cat. 4 damage to the swarm, and he's going to fall back into the water and use his feet to kind of propel him out a bit and keep himself submersed if possible, aiming away from where the bear is, assuming he doesn't know that that is Spear that sings.
Russian Crow, as you push yourself out further into the water, you begin to feel cold, a fear creeping over you. You're underwater, and you can hear your heartbeat in your ears. Black Owl, it is your turn.
So Black Owl will like see a spirit that sings turn into a bear and kind of move towards them, slapping at them as best as he can. And same with Russian Crow, though Russian Crow still seems to be moving away. And he'll try to lend what aid that he can. He'll like come up from the water just long enough And they'll like take up like a pipe. Obviously it's not lit, even though they're in the water, but he'll like puff at it as if it were lit. And by some miracle, it seems impossible. When he blows out, it still blows smoke, uh, even though there's no lighting of the pipe. And as the smoke kind of moves, it shifts in color almost to this like orangish color of a sunset, as the smoke will slowly take shape into an owl that will fly towards these things, and they'll need to make a dex save. This is Sacred Flame.
They fail their dex save.
And so they'll take 6 radiant damage as this like sunset colored smoke owl descends upon them, clawing with spiritual talents.
The owl swoops through the swarm. Spear that sings in your bare form. You can smell the smoke and the ember and the ash of this owl that appears to be flame. And this entire swarm of bees is disintegrated. You're out of initiative.
He'll shake his fur free of water and bees, like a dog. They shake when they get out of the water. He's still standing in it, and like he's trying to concentrate, but he sees like a fish nearby, and he'll like reach down and grab it and like begin munching on it as if nothing dangerous had happened.
Please roll me a wisdom save.
I am super good at those. That's a 19.
The fish tastes wrong. You couldn't put words to it. Not rotten, not burnt, perhaps ashen.
He's furious about it. He'll like fling the fish away, and he'll like slap at the water a few times with his bear claws, and then we'll like lumber over to the bank of the river and shake his fur dry again.
Yeah, Black Owl will similarly swim back towards the bank from where he had gone, just outside of it, standing up and shaking himself off, at least of the excess water. And kind of will sit down on the bank for just a moment, catch his breath. It's already been 2 close calls, very soon after another, and the adrenaline surging is starting to wear down. He'll just look to Russian Crow still in the water and the now bare form next to him, and just kind of like shake his head silently at the curse that they've been given so far today.
Yeah, if you look out at Russian Crow in the water, he's submerged, and there's a great roaring of bubbles comes out as he realizes where he is. He was happy to, ecstatic even to be away from the stinging bees, but now that he realizes he is underwater, panic begins to set in. His eyes open wide, his mouth opens, and he almost takes a great mouthful of water and begins to thrash. And he'll come up to the surface, desperately reaching out.
Yeah, and Black Owl would reach back out for you and help to pull you up out of the water. That was the intent.
Yeah, you see the panic in his eyes as you pull him up onto the bank, as he starts to spewing out some of the water and taking in great lungfuls of air.
Can't swim, the bear says.
He was just wheeze in response.
You child?
I don't like the water.
The bear like shakes its big head, like I can't understand that, and then like sniffs the air.
Yeah, Black Owl will kind of like lean as he pulls you up, and see just like the myriad of sting wounds, and he'll like look up at you. Will you be all right? You can take some time to look at them if you'd like.
And maybe one or two stingers in there that would be a risk of infection. The rest I can cope with.
And the bear will like smell at the stings, and then like lick one or two of them in an attempt to like fix them. Doesn't do anything, but that's how he fixes himself.
It actually kind of hurts.
Yeah, Black Owl will take a moment to do similarly to what he had done to himself from the bite wounds, and taking these strange mixtures, applying them to where the stings seem the worst. And I will give you a cure wounds that's going to give you 9 hit points back. As his knowledge of medicine and the use of the spirits help to increase your rate of healing.
The spirit that sings as you sniff the air, as you look around in your bear form. Your sharp eyes perceive that things are not quite as they ought to be. Perhaps if you'd walked a little slower, a little less intent on your stomach than on your surroundings, you might have noticed. The flowers here seem to be wilting, and the edges of them look as though they've been dipped in blood and shadow.
He can't express that as a bear, so he like looks to the others and like walks over to a flower and then looks at them and like shakes his head. Flower, bad.
And Black Owl will come over and like kneel down to like take a closer look at it, and take note of what you're saying, and just kind of shake his head again grimly. Whatever affects these lands, its grasp is far, wide, and strong. This may be, and he'll kind of like look over across the three of them. More than 3 young tribesmen can handle on their own. We should seek help. Elders who might know better. Things like this. More people who can help.
The bear like does an exaggerated nod, trying to emulate like a human. Where are we, Taylor? Like in the world? Are we anywhere near any of our lands?
Remind me which tribes you guys are. Was anyone desert?
Not me.
I am.
Rushing Crow, this is the closest to your home. You would be perhaps 3 days travel.
I will relay that then. So he picks at the already scabbing from scabs from forming rather over the stings. My tribe's camp is 3 days from here, as the crow flies.
It's quite some time, but maybe our best option. They might be already aware of something like this that's happening, and if they're not, they need to be. this is spreading or by any means getting worse, people need to know the damage that it could cause to the ecosystem, to the land, everything will be thrown off balance. Will be bad news.
I think Russian Crow would give an empathetic nod to that as well. Probably very similar to the style of the bear, although he is human. Because this is his family's kind of environment. Anything that's tainted here, he's imagining is going to reach them.
Everyone roll Arcana. We'll see if you get better than a 1, 2, and 3. Spirit that sings and Black Owl. As you look to the river, to the flowers, even to the honey, you begin to recognize the pattern. You recognize the colors which you've seen in your dream. This is your path.
Where does where are we in the dream? Where does it lead to? Is it like the mouth of a river or something like that?
The dream leads you from a river up to a pool that is still. You have not seen such a place yet. Beyond the pool is the stone split in twain, and the great tree growing from it.
So I think Spirit That Sings is like looking around at the place and it starts to look a little familiar. Or like parts of it, enough of it that like there's a similarity. He'll kind of take it in all at once and like turn his head to the side, trying to think of where to go. And he like looks up the river, like towards, I guess, are probably mountains or a lake or something like that. And he'll look in that direction.
Yeah, I think that change in disposition and reaction from Spirit That Sings would probably be obvious enough to catch Black Owl's attention. And it would kind of be this weird moment where like you have a thought in your head and you don't say it out loud, but you see somebody react as if you had said it out loud, and there's no way that he said it, but also how could they have the same thought at the same time? He'll just look over the Spirit That Sings. Did you have a similar thought to me?
Dream.
Perhaps this place, not a place after all. A thought of the spirits, a dream. You've had it too. And then he'll look over to Russian Crow, and kind of raise an eyebrow, assuming that if the two of them have that, probably he has too.
Yes, slightly slower on the uptake. He's been facing back the way we came, and as you say the word dream, he'll turn around, almost matching your expression with the raised eyebrow as he looks between you both.
So then this is a challenge to us. The rock that would block our way That's
we
the case.
must
Go.
we must heal sickness. Spirit Things will say, and he'll like lift one of his bare arms to like point towards the source of the river.
Yes, if this is our task bestowed upon us from the spirits, then help from the others is not where we should turn into ourselves. I like look up and see the scene, the vague reminiscence of the dream and the direction that you point, hitting him the same, and he'll nod. Let's see if we can find the source.
You move alongside the edge of the river. It is silver in the sun, and then copper, and then red like blood as Sun Who moves swiftly completes his path across the sky. What will you do as night falls?
Spirit Things can move at night as easily as he can in day. It wouldn't bother him. He can turn into his like true form and see perfectly in the dark. He actually prefers it, but he knows that like that's not the case for everyone. And so at this stage, he would have had to return to his secondary or human form for a while. And as it gets dark, he'll like begin to squint and like make sort of a pantomime of it. He's trying to make sure the others don't feel lesser, and so he's like doing a lot of like deliberate squinting and like things like that, so that one of them will bring it up.
Yeah, it wouldn't take too much time. Black Owl would have no shame about it. Sun falls. If there are more things dangerous, they'll be stronger in the night, harder to spot. If you'd find haven, make rest for a time, ensure that our survival is at its best.
Now we can make a fire. Even crazed animals fear fire, surely.
And even if they don't, at the very least, we'll see them coming. We'll be ready. Yeah, I'd go about looking then to try to see if there's any place that we could see. I don't know exactly what the landscape right here is like. If there's any place that would be usable as cover, that we could at least use as wind guard or sight guard. Otherwise, we might just have to find a place in the fields.
It is Spirit that sings who first notices the small hill, the rocks. A good place to camp, to put your backs to. You will see something coming if it comes for you.
He'll notice it, but he won't say it. He'll like look in that direction once or twice. He wants one of the others to notice it, but he'll walk kind of passively in that direction.
Jeff, you can roll survival.
Yeah, so I actually rolled at the same time as Lloyd did. I had got a 19 on the die, which would put me well over 20 something too.
Yeah, you see it as well.
Yeah, I think there's probably like I'm already like kind of looking, and then I see just that small glance of Spirit that sings eyes in that direction, even as nonchalantly as he tries to make it, sees it and kind of follows that line of sight, and then we'll point it out to the other two. There, that place would make a good spot. The rocks will shield the light, give us a place to put our backs. It'll be harder to see, and we'll have better defense in the event that something happens.
Yeah, Spirit of Things will like look in that direction and go, "Oh yes, very good, well spotted." And he'll go in that direction and like immediately squat down and like trying to light a fire, pulling out whatever he has, flint, I guess, and like getting all the necessary stuff underway. And I think that you would like notice Black Owl that like he's not doing this. Like it's clear that he can turn into animals, which is like pretty insane. But he's doing it to like make you feel grander and make Russian Crow feel like less inept, as opposed to make himself look stronger. It's like a generous sort of motivation as opposed to like a calculating one.
Yeah, and he would pick up on it, and he wouldn't make any overt mention of it. I think it's clear that we all hide talents beyond what we've shown so far, and that there's more to most of us than is plainly visible. So he'll accept the help and the equal placement of status openly but silently, but would also help to get the camp up into as best shape as possible, helping to find fire and to gather supplies.
What will you eat as you camp?
I happen to have these berries that are extremely delicious and filling, and he'll like pull them out without hesitation. When we sit down, he'll like pull out and hand one to each of them.
Yeah, and Black Owl will gladly accept.
And he'll look at you
as
like
he
it's a
eats it.
feast.
Yeah, I imagine there's this moment where it's like at first there's the kind of like look of like not wanting to be rude to somebody who's offered you food, but they've offered you so little that it's like, is this even a gift, or merely just a temptation? But then he'll like eat it anyways, and then I think there's probably that immediate realization, uh, again, of something beneath the surface.
Yeah, he would have spent a lot of time like rummaging through his bag looking for them, and you would have definitely gotten the impression that he was going to pull out like meat or like something precious, and then instead he pulls out like a couple of berries and like hands one like sort of reverentially to you, and then one to Russian Crow, and like watches really eagerly as you like eat it. And he has this tendency to do this like head to the side like an animal thing as he like watches to see how you guys react.
Russian Crow just throws it unceremoniously in his mouth before he notices you staring intently at him. And before he even bites down on it, he'll fish it back out and hold it up to the firelight. And then kind of look back at you, look at the berry, give you a nod, thank you. And then seemingly to take his time in savouring it.
Yeah, he'll do that thing where he's like looking at you and he's like showing you how to eat it because you're like holding it and you haven't eaten it yet. So he's like you should eat it, like put it in your mouth. And then when you guys like are smiling and enjoying it, he'll like nod pleased to himself and eat one himself.
Will you sleep here?
Someone should keep eye through the night. We can trade.
I will.
Yeah, Black Owl will just nod. Wake me when you're ready. I'll take your spot.
Yeah, he'll like slink to the edge and look out away from the fire, and as he like walks, he will like begin to crouch and then like turn into his cougar form, and then like curl himself up like a cat resting.
Black Owl, when you sleep, you expect to have the dream, the same one you've had for many moons. But you do not. You instead dream of a woman. She is of your tribe, but you do not recognize her, not of your village. There is something in her face, sorrow and pain and fear. You watch her swooping like an owl upon the wind as she runs through the dark. Up ahead, there's firelight. The woman runs for it, thinking that she has found safety. But it is not a fire's glow. Strange crystals, red as blood, glowing like embers. A figure of shadow and skull and death. Hands like bone and flint reach out. And then you wake up.
Yeah, as a Black Owl kind of startles awake, he'll look confused for a moment. The ritual of the identical dream being so common that any disturbance to it would be strange, but such a jarring change, even more so. And he would feel on edge as he would wake. And he would look up, assuming to see Spear that sings having woken him for the next shift, but I'm not sure if that would be the case or not.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. You would just feel like this nudge, and then like I guess probably wake up in terror to see like a predatory cat, like enormous over you, that's like nudging you with the paw. But then like when you wake, it'll just turn its head to the side and then like go and curl up in a corner.
Yeah, there's that point between the where the unconscious brain acts before the conscious brain can understand, and that wave of like panic and adrenaline will like pump through him hard as he sees a cat leaning over him like that, and then the conscious part of his brain will catch up, and he'll remember that they're with someone who can do such things, and he'll try his best to calm himself, but will be thoroughly awake to start his shift now. He'll move to the place by the rocks where he gets the best view. So keep an eye over the other two.
Rushing Crow and Spear that sings, you have the same dream that you've had. It is so familiar, you hardly need to close your eyes to see it. But there's one thing different. Beyond the tree, the great tree, you see a figure of shadow and bone, with great antlers. And do you think you hear a woman's voice? And I think that's probably where we're going to take a quick bio break.
All right.
So we'll be back
Ready?
in D6 minutes.
Sounds good. I'm sorry about the honey thing. It just felt appropriate. I'm trying to think what it would be like if you spent most of your time as an animal. Like I think like if you spend more time as an animal than as a person, then I feel like your judgment is pretty clouded, you know?
Hey, you got to do what your character's got to do.
Yep. I think it makes a little bit of sense. Like
Mm.
he's like a bit more, I don't know, simple. Like he's not stupid, but he's a bit simple, you know? Like more instinct driven, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you depending on how like literally and like physical you want to get with the magic that is shape shifting, like you could easily make the argument that like being in an animal's body, like with an animal's, even if it's still like your like mind, like it's still like the animal's brain. Like there's gonna be some part of that's
Yeah.
still like driven by their like base level instinct.
Yep. And like if you've been able to do that for like your adolescence and into
Forever.
adulthood,
Yeah.
you know, then it's like, and if you could be an animal all the time and like, I imagine like see different colors and like hear things that we can't possibly hear and stuff, like I don't know why you wouldn't, you know?
Yeah, I mean especially something like a bear, which can like smell for like I don't know how far it is, but it's
Yeah.
stupid. Like
Yep.
miles, I think, that they can like register smell. Like you would literally like go from like having superpowers to like not having them anymore, being
Yeah.
human. It'd be so perspective changing.
Or like even being a big cat and be able to like basically be invisible, like move so quietly that nothing can see you, and then like be a human and just like stomp, 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 like, you know?
All right, I think we are all back.
Yep, yep.
All right. Rushing Crow, you are watching as Sun, who moves swiftly, begins his path across the sky once more. First gray, then a soft orange that brings warmth and light to the world. Dawn is here.
He'll look over to his companions to see them. I'm guessing they are fitfully asleep still. And he'll bask in the glow of the dawn for a while. Eyes closed, trying to remember the dream he had, to focus on that figure, the difference in the dream, and the only difference he's known in said dream. And frustrated after a while, he will stand up and he'll make some commotion in order to wake the others.
Yeah, I imagine being out in the wilderness after a already stressful night, that being woken comes easily. Like I don't think it would be a very restful sleep. Black Owl will kind of shake, squint and rub at his eyes, um, and rouse himself. I'm already, huh?
Spirit that sings will like stretch in that sort of way that you wish you could stretch, but a cat can do and you can't. Like basically bending backwards entirely and like yawning loudly, or like widely, and then like licking paws and like getting his fur in order before like rising and stretching again.
Well, daylight is fleeting. Suppose we should waste none of it, no matter how small. we're ready, then perhaps it's time we continue.
Yeah, at that, spirit things will begin moving ahead as a cougar, like moving insanely fast and stealthily. Yeah, so I have like a stupid stealth bonus as a cat, so I'm just going to try and like move ahead quietly and like keep an eye out for spotting things before they spot us.
It's simple for you and your cougar form to move within sight and sound of the river. You weave through the trees, through the grass. Even your companions who know you are there, who know you must be so close, can barely see you, if at all. You come across a deer, what used to be a deer. A spear that sings, the nose of the cougar tells you before the eyes do that it is wrong. And when you reach the body of this deer, you see the black around the edges of the mouth. And you sense more than you see or smell. Some sort of sickness.
He has to battle the animal instinct to eat. Has to like remind himself, like say to himself in his head, "You're a man. This thing is sick. Do not eat." He has to like a mantra say that a few times to himself before he's able to like step away and like not chew on the free meal, because the cougar part of him is like, "This is bonanza. It's amazing." But he has to like step back and sit, and he'll like look back to where the others are, and then let out a yowl for them to follow. He does have a moment when he first sees the antlers where he thinks of the dream, and he's like trying to piece that together, but his cougar brain's like not able to do complex thoughts like that. It's good at hunting and killing and sneaking. It's not good at like piecing together dreams with symbols.
And similarly, the human instinct of hearing a cougar cry out, having heard the same cry and been slashed for it just the day before, will jump at the sound, jump to ready before catching up with himself and realizing this is a cry from a friend to guide, not impending danger. But he'll hear it, and once he steadies himself enough to act smoothly and rationally, he'll move forward to meet up.
Black Owl and Rushing Crow in your human forms. Please give me investigation or nature as you find your cougar friend prowling around the corpse of this deer. Black Owl, perhaps it is experience or perhaps something else. You see wounds upon the deer's flesh. Your first thought might be that it was Spear that sings in his cougar form. But these are blackened at the edges. There are bite marks which are far more canine than feline.
Whatever killed this thing, hunted it, brought it down, suffers from the same affliction as the cougar that we found earlier in the swarm. I'll kind of point out the blackened edges, the different scarring marks that are unusual for something of that. Not sure exactly what did this, but it suffered the same curse. This thing now bears it.
Spirit things will like approach again and like sniff a few times and then like step back again, let out like a low growl, and then look to the other two sort of expectantly.
Is there a scent? Can you find tracks?
I can try. I think I have keen senses. Yeah. Okay, so 19 all up on my survival. Or sorry, perception, right? Because it's keen senses.
The smell, now that you are looking for it, it's unmistakable. It was almost overpowered by the strangeness of death. But the scent of coyote is there. Several of them.
Would it strike me as odd that like they would go after a deer? Is that something that they do? I think Spirit things would associate that with wolves more so than like coyotes.
Coyotes tend towards smaller prey. They're a bit more scavenger. It's odd that they would attack something of this size, of the stag, and odder still that they wouldn't eat it.
Spirit things will like move to like one of the tracks and like sniff at it, and then look to the others, and again sort of like unnervingly say in a voice that like shouldn't be able to speak, coyotes.
Strange for them to kill the beast, not eat it. Oh, I guess not so strange as whatever affliction seems to hang. Smoke that clouds their spirits. Behavior is not normal. But I don't think our expectations should be normal. If we're going to continue, we should at least be wary that this pack might be nearby. Or if we think it would be safer to track it, deal with it first, and continue on. Just kind of trail off and shrug and look at the other two.
Track, kill. Though it's like said a little bit too quickly, and so you're not like certain if that's like a rational decision.
Yeah, I think there'd kind of be that moment of like, is this the man or the beast that said that? And I think it's hard to tell the difference sometimes. So he'll look to Rushing Crow to be the other rational mind to make the decision.
They will come for us either way. Perhaps it might not be a bad idea to track and kill them first before they attempt to track and kill us. Although maybe we don't want to go too far from our path if it can be helped.
The cougar will like begin purring and like move over and like bash its big head into your hand rushing crow.
Yeah, I think there is an absent-minded tugging of the ear before he realizes, look, this is a man.
If it doesn't take us too far from the path, and if they're not too far, I don't know if you could tell how far they are. And he'll look at the cougar and not knowing what senses that thing might even possess, if that's even a thing that it could know or not. But if it is not, then we should deal with them, as you say, before they come for us.
Yeah, is there a way for me to know how fresh the tracks are, or anything like that, or how recent the kill is?
The kill is within the last 5 hours. It's fairly fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I think to track these things, we're going to make it a skill challenge. So we'll need 3 successes before 2 failures. And you can choose a skill and rationalize it to me.
If you guys are okay with it, I'll go for stealth, since I'm very good at it as a cat. I'll be like trying to follow, and when we find the trail, get close in a way that like literal canines can't smell me, which would be impossible for a person. And so like using those sort of like abilities. Yeah, it's a 24 all up.
Definitely a pass.
Yeah, I think alongside that, probably be taking a more conventional approach, not having quite the same skill set. I think for me, it's just going to be a matter of keeping my eye out, just kind of relying on that natural vision to try to see where the tracks go, and kind of watching where Spirit that Sings isn't, so that we can make sure that we're not snuck up on while our keen senses are away. I just like to use perception.
Okay, go ahead.
That's a fail. 6.
This is unfamiliar land to you. It's perhaps more difficult for you to track something here, to notice the trails it leaves, than it would be at home.
Russian crows probably more used to this kind of landscape, I would imagine. He'll look out for the broken dry twigs, the ambush spots, any sign of movement that's veered off the path from where Spear Who Sings is tracking. He'll use survival, and it was a 13.
13 is not quite enough. So that is 2 failures, and Spear That Sings, in spite of your quietness, the tracks disappear and you lose the scent in the air.
He'll suddenly stop and sit. And for the first time, like look at the other two, and then thankfully he doesn't have a human expression, but he'll give them a look of like, what? How did this happen? Cougars or coyotes, easy to track, child's play. But he doesn't say anything. He just like looks at them with like a blank sort of cat expression.
Yeah, Black Owl will just kind of shake his head frustratedly, and dismissively say, though probably more dismissively to himself than to the cat's judging eyes. We'll just have to follow the path then. Keep our eyes out. They come for us, we need to see them. We can't find them. And he'll like shake his head again and try not to let the frustration show too much.
Spirit of Things will like turn its head to the side. Lure. And he like lifts a paw and like points at himself. Lure.
Could be dangerous. They can move
We shake his
fast.
head. We kill.
Black Owl will just like nod his head, resolutely.
So then he'll nod as well. And we'll concentrate for a second and turn back into a person and like communicate the plan better. So basically, I would turn into some prey and like stand stupidly in like an open sort of area where there are trees nearby that you two could hide in. And then when they approach, we kill them. Surely they'll, like if they hunted that other deer, they'll surely hunt this one.
I mean, it makes sense. I think even in your cougar form, they would still go for you, craze like.
I can pretend to sleep. Cougars are cowards. I keep saying cougars. Coyotes are cowards. So with the plan set, then I'll try and find a place that's like an open sort of area where I can like sun myself on a rock or something like that, and some brush nearby that the other two could hide in as I try to lure the coyotes to us.
Sure. Are you doing anything besides sunning yourself on a rock?
So I'll turn back into a cougar and I'll sun myself on the rock, and I'll basically be like actively listening, like and smelling and things, like basically scanning the area for them. But I'll just be like yawning and yeah, waiting basically. It's like what I do professionally as a cougar, is I stare around, So like for me, it's not a problem to wait how many hours,
It is a long wait. You'd lost the scent of the coyote. Perhaps you wondered if they were even still nearby. Sun, who moves swiftly, continues relentlessly in his path across the sky. And it is nearly 2 hours before your keen senses tell you that something draws near. Since you guys are waiting, let's go ahead and roll initiative. Fear that sings. Although you pretend to sleep, your great golden eyes closed, you are ready when the first of 4 coyotes comes slinking into the clearing.
So I'll wait, like I don't notice them, and I'll continue to pretend to sleep. I'm already in action to basically, if one of them comes close and then tries to sniff at me, to bite.
Absolutely. One of them will come close, and it is almost whining, growling. It's an odd noise for a coyote, very unusual. And then you hear the growl grow, and you can almost hear it bare its teeth.
But comparatively, a coyote moves like a snail compared to a predatory cat, and so I'll just like with a roar leap up and wrap my fangs around its neck, and that's a 14 plus bunch.
Yeah, AC like 12 on these.
So it's gonna be 10 damage.
Your teeth close around the neck and there's a snap. The coyote doesn't even get a yelp. It hangs dead in the cougar's mouth.
Yeah, I'll roar and like fling it away, and then look at the others and like roar again, signal for the other two.
Rushing Crow.
Yeah, as soon as the boar from Spirit sings out, Tomahawk will fly through the air at the second most, we'll say bravest of the coyotes that was closest to the cougar, for a 25 to hit, which I assume does.
Yeah, very much so.
7 damage.
You strike the coyote almost square in the spine. Its back legs collapse and it yelps in pain. But it stands, blood seeping out of its mouth. And as it turns its head, you can see that its eyes glow a dull red. Do you have another action, Russian Crow, or is that it for you?
That'll be it for me. Other than matching Spirit Sing's roar to try and kind of get the attention of the others.
Black Owl.
Black Owl is not nearly the hunter that that Russian Crow is, and especially not that Spirit that sings is. But he does know one thing, and that's like when it comes to skirmishes like this, numbers are everything. So he'll see the wounded coyote that Russian Crow has already dealt damage to, and he'll certainly want to finish it off. He'll bring up his own spear to bear, charging forwards at it, and attempt to bring it down with a 19 to hit for 8 damage.
This spear plunges into the coyote, nearly breaking ribs. You feel it give way as it pushes through, and the creature falls. The 2 that are left turn.
Real quick, sorry.
Sorry?
I have a bonus action that I'm going to use for my Spear Master
Absolutely.
feat, where basically I'll like rip the spear back out of that coyote, kind of keeping it down at the center of the haft at a ready defensive position. I'm going to use my bonus action to prepare the spear to receive a charge. So if a creature moves within 5 feet of me, then I'll be able to make an attack as a reaction against it.
We're gonna decide if it's gonna attack the cougar or the person. That is the cougar. Black Owl, you spear the one and you expect the other two to leap towards you, but instead they have eyes for the great cat. 15 on the die and a 10 on the die, which is a 14 total.
They both hit.
These two coyotes leap at you, almost perfectly in sync. But again, there's something unnatural. The first one strikes you for 5 piercing and 3 necrotic damage. The second one for 6 piercing and 3 necrotic. And then it's your turn.
With like another roar, I'm going to try and bite another of the necks and snap it of these tiny little creatures. It's a crit, yeah, so it's almost certainly dead.
It's very dead. There's almost no way you can't kill it. It's got 8 hit points.
Yeah, yep, I did 16. Yep, so like the jaw will slash out again and just like crunch, break a neck and fling another cougar body away.
Rushing Crow, there's a lone coyote left. It snarls and growls, its hackles raised. It ought to flee from a fully grown cougar, from a man wielding a spear. The rest of its pack dead, but it stands there growling.
So hunched over, he will approach it on his tiptoes as it is distracted, growling at the others, and as he comes close to it, he'll bring the tomahawk up and bring it down, smashing it against the back legs of this maddened creature. It's a 25 to hit again. It's only 5 damage this time.
One leg collapses beneath the creature, and it yelps and snarls and growls in pain. Anything else for you?
Yeah, that's all I can do, I think.
Black Owl.
Black Owl shifts from his defensive position, expecting the attack to come, but not seeing one, and will then focus his attention back on aggression. We'll see the remaining coyote limping and weak, and we'll go to finish it off, rushing forward to bring the spear down with both hands. Try to gut it, which is going to be a hit, and we'll do well over the 3 damage. That's 9 damage. I'll deal with the spear.
Describe how you kill this coyote.
It's just quick, efficient. A warrior with warrior skill. He'll just bring the spear like right down. It'll slide through the ribs of the coyote into the vulnerable organs beneath. Once it slices in, he'll give it a twist to ensure that the damage is done before ripping it out, slashing down as he does so. To cut and the wound amongst the others is too much.
With the pack dead, you are out of initiative.
Spit that things will like move to the top of the rock and like let out a really loud, like deafening roar, as like the primal need to like assert dominance takes over.
You have keen hearing. Roll me some sort of hearing related check. And you could do maybe survival or perception.
Perception?
Yeah.
It's a 19 on the die, so it's going to be 24.
With the yowl, it echoes, and you hear faint, but there, a stifled cry. It is not close by, but something or someone heard that and is afraid.
Good, the cougar thinks. And I will like just begin moving in that direction and like say to the others, person.
Yeah, Black Owl was just like getting ready to like sit down after the battle and like look at each other and like congratulate on their successful hunt and go back to the path, and then suddenly the cat's just on to the next thing. And for a moment he's tempted to try to like tell it to stop and go back, but he'll be wiser than to fight a cougar in the plains, and will just kind of shake his head in slight half amusement and half frustration, but we'll continue on behind it. Curious, especially once the word person is uttered.
With your sense of direction, spear that sings, your hearing, your sense of smell, it does not take you more than 10 minutes to come down this sort of rocky outcropping back towards where the river is. You smell before you see. A man. Human. Injured. Blood. You smell blood. And then you see an old man. He is sitting, or perhaps lying would be a better description, in a tree. You see the smears of blood on the trunk. You see the scratches of claw marks, and the scent of coyote is around the place. The man sees you, and he is afraid.
So sorry, just to be clear, there's two men, or is it just the one
the
old
one.
man?
Just
Okay.
the one old man up in the tree.
Okay. Yeah. So then Spirit that things will like approach and like circle around the base of the tree. And he's like trying in his brain to be like, do not eat this man, do not eat this man, do not eat this man. But there's blood in the air and he's just killed things, and there's like a lot of like animalistic urges, and so he's like circling the base of the tree and will like purr and like rub up the side of his head against the tree.
Please take 3 bludgeoning damage as this man hurls a rock at this cougar, which is circling the tree, and then begins to shout, hoping to frighten you away.
The rock will like shake his head. Stop.
The man does. And he looks at you. And he smiles. Hello, brother. It is good to see someone. Forgive me. I did not recognize another of my kind.
Spirit that things will like look up, and I guess now the others are probably like approaching as well, and will look back towards their direction, and he'll look up and like turn his head to the side. Killed coyotes.
Ah, then it was you. Good.
safe.
From certain things, yes. And he will begin to climb down from the tree, and when he does, Spear that sings, you smell that scent, that strange smell, and you can see that there are marks, bite marks, claw marks upon his arm, which are turning black and festering, and that he seems very, very weak.
I'll take a couple of steps backwards away in case I'm infected by whatever sickness this man has, like if he spreads it to me or something. I'll move a little bit away and I'll say, sickness.
Yes. Come closer. I will not harm you. Although your shapeshifter friend has, well, the blight has taken me, and I am lost.
Blight. This thing. Is that just a word, or is that its name? You know what it is, what's happening to the plants, the animals, and what kind of plants, even the people.
I have called it blight because I do not know what else to call it. It is both poison and disease, spread through blood and bite and fang and claw. There are 3 of you. Yes, yes. She dreamt of you. That is your path. I thought it might be mine. Forgive an old man his ramblings. You must have questions. I will answer what I can.
This place, I've seen it before, not just me, but them. Say, the woman dreamt of us. Seems that she is not the only one who's dreamed. What connection is there? You speak of a path, as if it's some destiny that we are to know, follow. We know nothing. We're merely here.
I cannot claim to know the minds of the spirits, though for many, many years they have spoken to me, sung to me, given me wings or gills or claws. She who stands fast was my charge, my youngling, the one whom I was teaching in the ways of such things. 'Twas not her choice, but the dreams they came to her, and I was tasked to accompany her to follow them. Her dreams brought us here. Well, further, and he gestures upstream. Down there, we found the pool that she had seen so many times. And the great burial tree. Only no longer is red running water, safe beneath his tree guarded by the roots. He walks, brought to life by the one called Pale Raven. I had hoped to return. She who stands fast, she is in danger. Pale Raven was strong, stronger than the two of us together. And with red running water at his side, we were overwhelmed. Pale Raven is the source of this blight, the dark magic that he uses. I cannot claim to fully understand it. Have you seen one of these? And he reaches in and pulls out a crystal. It is long and slender. It looks fragile, but it has a glow about it and a sense of warmth. It reminds you of the sun.
Fear that things is like trying to concentrate and listen to the man's words. But there are like birds in the trees, and occasionally he like looks in their direction. And he's like told him now what he has to do, to hunt and kill Pale Raven. And that's like foremost in his mind. And then he like sees the crystal and he shakes his head. What is it?
In places where the barrier is thin between this world and the first world, crystals grow. They can be used. This one I found many years ago. I took it to a mountaintop, and for 4 moons, I sat with it upon the highest peak, and sun who moved swiftly passed overhead, again and again and again. And his light and his warmth and his power seeped into this crystal. But there are other powers too. That is what Pale Raven uses.
Kill Pale Raven.
Yes, you must. But you must also destroy whatever crystal he has. It feeds on life, on the very essence of life itself. It drives the animals mad. You've seen this. It poisons the ground beneath our feet, the water. It is very powerful, but it should be destroyed.
Spear that Sings will nod and say, kill Pillar Raven. And he'll look at Black Owl and say, kill Crystal.
Yes. This crystal may be acting to bring dark spirits into the world under his command. The dark thing, it must be dealt with. And its wielder too. Those who look too far into darkness risk falling into it themselves. Perhaps this pale raven has messed not fathom. He is beyond, he will be dealt with. Anything on him dealt with too.
I understand how to kill a beast and kill a man, but how do you kill a crystal?
She who stands fast had dreams of this. The spirits that spoke to her. A little of what she was to face. I sent for my brother. Across the mountains, he came. And he brought this. And he'll hold out this club. It is almost the length of your arm. And it is wrapped in silver silk that shimmers. Grandmother Spider's gift, he calls it. It bears power of the first world. It would be strong enough to break the crystal. I should have been strong enough.
The animal part of the brain is thinking, correct, you should have been, but you are not, and now you will feed worms, and that's correct as well. That's how it should be. Like there's no issue in you not succeeding in the mission, sort of is what he's thinking. Everything dies and everything lives. But he can't express that, and so he just looks at the other two.
This, sorry, I again, my connection has been kind of weird. Did he say he has the club now, like with him, or
Yeah.
or was it
No, he
lost
like
or with somebody
he
else?
has it with him.
If this club is what will break the crystal, and you are not able to do it yourself, and he won't even finish the sentence, he'll just hold out a hand.
Yes. Although, and he looks to Rushing Crow. Perhaps there might be one better suited.
A black expression will stay on Russian Crow's face for a moment longer than everyone else, I would imagine, before the eyes go a little bit wider and he looks at the other two. Huh. They do say the ancestors put us on a path we almost follow.
Take.
Yeah. I trust you and I trust the spirits know me well enough. I'll let them guide me and trust in my instincts. And I'll hold out my hands reverentially.
He hands you the club. You feel the weight of it in your hands. The round end that feels as though it would swing perfectly. And he looks to you, Black Owl. And he unties the leather thong that holds his sun crystal and offers it to you.
Black Owl will look down, worried at first. His thought, if it seeps into him and these crystals can do the same, is this safe to take? But those thoughts will give way towards this man's seemingly final wishes. And at least for now, he'll take it, reaching down gingerly to lift it from his hands and bring it up towards himself. And he'll just give a nod of thanks.
She who stands fast is waiting. But I fear her time grows short.
We go.
There's no time to lose.
Go. The eagle helped your feet to fly.
As we start moving, Spirit That Sings will linger for a second by the man and look to him and turn his head to the side. Sick. Die?
Yes.
Make quick.
No. I will finish walking the path set before me.
Walk.
The old man will nod and turn and begin to walk downriver.
Yeah, I'll follow the other two, and I imagine catch up pretty quickly.
The path moves under your feet, as if you are walking down a grassy slope. Sun, who moves swiftly, seems to halt his course, for you move more swiftly. Your feet walk as if you have come this way 1,000 times. There is no hesitation now. You feel the pull, the wind, the rays of sunlight illuminating each turn, each step. It is late afternoon. The shadows are beginning to grow long. When the three of you come to a pool, it flows out into the river, but the pool itself is still, reflects like obsidian stone. Beyond it is a great boulder, split, and from it a huge tree emerges. You know this place.
I suppose that things would like think that we need to begin the search for she who stands fast, and try and figure out the mysteries of the old man. Though his brain is like not made for mystery solving, and so he'll say her name and look to the other two, and like find it very hard to pull his gaze away from like the scene of the dream that he's had many, many, many times.
I think there's an almost dreamlike disconcertedness, I guess, that you, as we all come across this scene that we've witnessed 1,000 times. And Russian Crow desperately thinks of everything that happened in that vision as he begins to move forward. Maybe he'll hear the wind whispering the names, or see the place that's never been in the reflection in the water.
When you look down into the water, you see the sky reflected. You see the butte beyond reflected. But the water seems deep, endless almost. As if stepping foot in that water, you would sink forever.
It feels that fear begin to rise from deep within him, and he instinctively takes a few steps back.
Spirit seems to like look between you and the water, and remember, can't swim. Child. But he will move forward and just like dip his paw like into the water for a second to see like the ripples.
Feel free to turn into a salmon and jump in.
He'll look back and say, "Can."
The surface of the water ripples. They spread outward from where you touched it. And you begin to hear chanting. We're going to take one more quick bio break, and then we'll come back and finish this out.
Sounds good. been a while since we had a Dodie tech plague. It's usually the Chekhovian tech plague that we have to deal with.
Don't jinx us. We're like at the last push. Don't jinx it. We'll get both of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's just maddening. It's like, and this is like different issues than like the usual brand of weird internet shit that I've had before. Like, I can literally like watch the Wi-Fi signal on my computer go like off, on, off,
Oh
on,
god.
off, on. So it's like literally I'm hearing like, and then you hear, and that's when he does the, and it's just like, oh my god, like. Just literally hearing nothing, just fragments of words. But hopefully, I like unplugged the entire fucking thing and replugged it in. So hopefully that might have done something, but we'll see. But yeah, I missed like that entire like I heard that we found the pool, but outside of that, like I basically heard none of that last while.
Chex's character is afraid of water and can't really swim. That's the gist of it. All right, got everybody back. So, you're standing at this pool, the ripples slowly fading, and you hear chanting coming from beyond the pool, beyond the boulder and the tree.
Chanting of like what sort? Would it be anything that I would be familiar with or would have a chance of comprehending? Or is this foreign?
Certainly not from this distance yet. You can only hear the rhythm of it.
Spirit that things will like lower himself down into a sort of crouching, sneaking, predatory stance and start to move in that direction as quietly as he can.
Please roll stealth. And anyone else who wants to be sneaky.
16.
Yeah, Black Owl will give Fear That Sings a little bit of initial birth, not wanting to like move right alongside, given that Spear tends to be better at those sorts of things, but he will follow after a time, and actually get a 17, that's a 15 on the die for stealth.
Chex, are you gonna roll stealth as well?
Sorry, no, he's going to hang back, covering from behind, but he will make sure he'll have that club in his hand, and he'll take the silver silken cover, and he'll wrap it around his head like a bandana.
You move forward, spear that sings. The grace and ease of a great cat. Black Owl moves to your left. His earlier missteps unnoticeable. The pair of you make very little noise. As you come around past the great boulder and the tree that is at least as big around as a man is broad, you see him there. A warrior. Fearsome to behold. The old man spoke his name. Red running water. It is a story you might have heard. A story of a warrior, fierce and brave. Who fought off an entire tribe, single-handedly protecting the river, protecting his people, until the water ran red. He died in that battle, but only after he'd killed every last enemy. He was buried in the place where his tomahawk split the rock, and a tree grew up, guarding his bones. But what stands before you now is no myth, is no skeleton, but a warrior. He has not yet seen you.
The spirit that sings is waiting for like a signal or a sign, because his brain is just going kill, 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 pants, kill, kill, and so he's trying to like stifle a growl, and he looks to the Black Owl to see what the plan is.
Yeah, Black Owl will return the look with a bit of confusion, almost a bit of worry. He's not sure if this person is a friend or an enemy. If it's an enemy, then surely a surprise attack would be beneficial. But if he's not, then it would be a waste of a life in a treacherous area, and he's not sure what to do. So he'll kind of put a kind of a cautious hand up towards Spear That Sings, signaling to like lie in wait and stay hidden. And he's like gonna go to stand up and reveal himself to see what this man does, but if something goes wrong.
Jeff,
Be ready.
with your passive perception, you're perhaps 60 feet from this man, and you can see that he has a shadow which seems to cling to him, as if the sun isn't quite reaching.
Are the risen dead in Second World like inherently bad the way they are in Istloft? Like, or is it sometimes like good or like
the dead should not rise. All things have a season, and one of those is a time to die. They should not go backwards.
Would I get a sense then that this person, if it could be, is of that sort of ilk? Because that would probably certainly cross my character's mind.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, as he kind of goes to like reveal himself, there's like that sudden moment of like worry that you can't quite place. A reason to be scared without actually noticing anything directly, and then he kind of zeroes in on that darkness. As it would kind of strike him that this is some foul magic that's afoot, or at least some other sort of foulness. He will reach down, grabbing again at his pipes, and he'll begin to like paint onto himself, and then like take in an imaginary bit of smoke, which will then turn into real smoke. And he'll like whisper in the quietest possible whisper for the spirits to detain this dark spirit so that they might be able to take it out. And I'm gonna need it/him, whatever it is, to make a wisdom saving throw.
Fail.
All right, so that's hold person. So he's paralyzed.
Okay, and do remind me of hold person mechanics. Does he get any future saves, or is he just done for?
It's at the end of each of his turns. He can make another wisdom save.
Okay, then let's go ahead and roll initiative, and that will be your surprise round, and I will give Spear That Sings his surprise round.
this is going to be really ugly.
Yeah.
So I can move 40 feet as a tiger, and if I do move 20 feet or more tiger, then cougar. If I move 20 feet in a straight line towards a creature, then he has to make a strength save or be knocked prone, which he fails automatically because he's paralyzed. Yep. And then I attack with advantage.
Yep.
For a 19. Is that good? Yep. So that's an auto crit because he's paralyzed.
Yep.
It's going to be 18 damage.
That is a lot of damage. Yeah. Where your teeth and claws rake into him, there's a bitter and burning taste in your mouth. And something resembling blood begins to pour from these wounds. Thicker than it ought to be, darker, and with a dull glow. And let me roll his initiative. I forgot something. So he's gonna go last. Crap. So Spear That Sings, that was your surprise round. Now it is your turn.
Okay, I'm gonna bite him again. So 16 on the die plus 3 is 19 again. Oh my god, that's 22 damage. Because it's an auto crit because he's paralyzed.
Yeah, so you are rending flesh from bone on this man who was once a great warrior. His eyes from this angle glow a dull red of anger and unnatural life.
Spirit that Sings is sure that if he was alive, like he's one of the greatest warriors ever, this would not be going this way, but he's wrong and he shouldn't be, and that's why like the spirits have favored them.
Rushing Crow, it is your turn.
So no doubt he's heard the commotion of what's been happening all around here. I believe I'm at least 120 feet away by my calculations. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're probably closer to 90.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
In that case, I will use my turn to dash around, probably coming up on Black Owl's side.
Yeah, you move swiftly and you can see this warrior, this man, upon the ground, the great cougar mauling him, seemingly tearing him limb from limb, although no cry escapes his lips. And if that's it for you, then it's Black Owl's turn.
Black Owl will begin striding forward, beginning to close the gap. He'll move 30 feet forward to make it halfway towards this person. And as he sees the cougar tearing this creature, is a better word, to pieces with claws, he'll reach down, his hands kind of going around that sun crystal that he was given from the old man earlier. And he'll think, and he'll whisper silently again to the spirits that might bless the crystal and him with their power to deal with this evil creature, that the good spirits might overwhelm the evil, and then they might be rid of its blight. So I'm not actually literally using the crystal. I'm basically just using it flavored as a focus. And he's gonna like hold it out, and again breathe out smoke as if from nothing. And it will take that similarly like sunset orange color as it shapes, this time into a greater size owl, almost as if it was a great eagle. This just massive looming bird shape which will fly towards it. And the moment that it impacts, it will like burst in this like sunburst cloud of smoke and light as I cast Guiding Bolt. Which, because he's paralyzed, I'll make with advantage. Now, sadly, it's not an auto crit unless you're within melee range, so only normal damage, which for Guiding Bolt is still stupid. So I will deal, goddamn, 20 radiant damage as the sunburst owl wreathes this thing in flaming smoke and light as the spirits attack.
The man who was once red running water is wreathed in light. He glows, and the brightness of it begins to overcome the shadow. And for a moment, you think you see recognition upon his face. And then, beneath you, Spear that Sings, is no longer a body, but a skeleton and ash.
Yeah, he'll like look at the thing being gone, and like feel sort of a sadness, like this great warrior didn't deserve this. Like this is not like he should be. I don't even know where people go in Second World when they die. First World, I don't know. Third World, I'm not sure. One of them. But he should be there, and he should not be here under some like dark power. And he'll feel like a sadness, and he'll like sit among the bones.
Yeah, I think there'd be a similar kind of somberness from Black Owl as he'd make the remaining walk up towards the what was left of this person and kneel down, fingers kind of rubbing at the dust and ash of what used to be this person. He'll just kind of like shake his head. He's a dark creature. You know, he has to go, but it's sad to see still a man once so great, now so low. And he'll just kind of stand up and look back down. At least now he might have the warrior's death that he deserves. Hopefully a restful spirit after this corruption, if such a thing can be possible for a creature like that.
I look at the tree and like, are the roots in? Like, is there something with the roots or like something with the branches? Like something must be wrong, right? So like begin examining the tree to see like what's causing this.
The tree, the roots appear like they've been pulled back, as if fingers that were once down have lifted up. You know, it would take someone with a strong understanding of nature, similar to you, but much more powerful, to do such a thing.
Is it my impression that that's where he was resting, like his form was resting? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that being the case, then I'll definitely begin to like pick up whatever is left, bones, and like drop them into the resting place.
Yeah, if I saw you doing that, I would definitely help to collect the remaining bones, gather it up in arms or in a canvas to help make the process faster and easier.
As you do this, and the silence begins to return after the blaze, which finished Red Running Water's second life. You hear the chanting still continuing, but it is louder now, perhaps more fervent.
Can we tell where the chanting is coming from? Can we pinpoint where its location is and if it seems to be getting closer?
Red Running Water was near the tree and the boulder, and beyond perhaps another 100 feet, there's a ring of trees, so close together as to be unnatural. You cannot quite see through them.
Yeah, I imagine as the chanting is louder now, Black Owl would kind of give a worried glance over to Spear who sings, and then over to Russian Crow, and then kind of back over towards the obscured trees, and kind of look especially towards the cougar.
He like looks back and forth between you and the trees. Go.
Yeah, Black Owl will shake his head, yes, but his face will show a clear level of concern and worry. He's not as confident as his head shake is.
Yeah, I think in human form, Spear, that things would be worried also, but like animals don't worry. And so he's just about the next thing all the time. And so when it's like confirmed that we go, he goes and starts moving in that direction.
Russian Crow, are you following as well?
Yeah, but he'll keep his eyes and head flitting around for any sign of ambush.
Roll me. Give me, I think, an intelligence roll. If you have proficiency in stealth, then you can add your bonus.
Was that for a Russian Crow, sorry?
Yes.
Okay. Intelligence. Wait, it's 119 on the die, so 18.
As you are all moving towards this almost fence of trees, you see that strewn about are the bodies of animals of many shapes and sizes. Some bearing teeth and claw marks. But all of them that seem to be more shadowed than even this place should make it so. Spear that sings, you come to where these small trees are. They are perhaps as big around as a child, not very old. But there's hardly enough space to use or to get through. You peer into this circle, and your eyes, keen as they are, take in the shadows and the figure there. It wears a mask of a skull. It has antlers of bones. It is chanting. In front of it are glowing embers. They at least appear to be glowing embers. you see behind him a young woman. She might be sleeping. She might be dead. She does not move. The chanting grows louder, even as the skull turns slightly. It knows you're here.
That's all the confirmation I need. And he'll roar and begin running towards it as quickly as he can. This is profane and clearly wrong.
I think we will pick up right there next time. Because there's a next time, because this is a campaign. Woo.
All right.
Alrighty.
Thanks for playing, guys. That was excellent. Thanks for watching if you watched. There will be more of this in 2 weeks. We're going to run a little mini campaign. These guys are killing it, and we will meet She Who Stands Fast next week, or next time. So special thanks to Lloyd and Jeff and Chex. You guys were wonderful. Welcome to Second World.
Thank you. That was super fun.